Welcome to Your Inner Power with Krista. This podcast is for the deeply intuitive ones, the curious ones, and the ones who follow their own path and embrace their uniqueness. We'll chat about all things spiritual, life's adventures, and always go back to deep self-trust because it's all within you. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. We are now on episode 4, and that is very exciting because now we're going to get into all the spiritual topics. Episodes 1 through 3, I really just wanted you to get to know me and understand how we got here, but you get that now. So now it's time for the meat and potatoes of this podcast. And I bet you're not surprised. I'm going to start out today with a spiritual topic that I am very passionate about, the Akashic Records. I am on a mission to demystify the Akashic Records because we could hear the words Akashic Records and be like, wait, Akasha, what? I don't know what you're talking about. And I really want to share more about this very healing modality. Truly, I guess I'm biased, but I don't think I am. I truly believe that this is the most healing spiritual modality that we have access to 24/7. So let's talk about it. First, I want to start off by talking about energy because everything is energy. And when you are in a really high vibration, high vibe state, you're feeling good and everything's coming your way and you're just in this flow state, right? And then when you're really low vibe, everything feels like it's going wrong and it feels like everything is just a mess. And the Akashic Records exists at an extremely high frequency. The Akashic Records are an energetic realm. So it is not a physical space. The Akashic Records is not one physical space that we go to and it's outside of us in some way. You can access the Akashic Records at all times, and it's just through your consciousness that you're accessing this realm. Past, present, and future possibilities of all souls are stored in the Akashic Records. It's literally a vibrational record of all. I know some people see the Akashic Records as a library, and I think that's a really great analogy just to kind of understand the concept a little bit more. So some people say that they see a library and then they pull out their soul's book from this library. So the Akashic Records would be the library and then the book would be your specific soul's records. Though this is great for our human minds to understand, again, the Akashic Records is an energetic realm. So it has no form. It isn't this library floating in the middle of space that we're going to. It truly is just an energetic realm. So if you access your Akashic Records and you don't see a library, you're not doing anything wrong. You just may experience the Akashic Records in a different way. I personally do not see a library. You access your Akashic Records through prayer and intention. And that is all. There's nothing complicated about it. It's just really trusting in yourself. Trusting is the hardest part, and trusting is absolutely a journey, but there's nothing that you have to do. Remember that this is your birthright. I see the Akashic Records as a place that is stored within my heart. Like my heart is a portal to the Akashic Records. And I really focus on my heart space when I open my Akashic Records and I really tune in. I breathe into my heart and I really begin to come back to the true nature of who I am. And that's how I personally create that really deep, strong connection when I'm opening the records. Let's chat a little bit about the history of the Akashic Records. Now, I'm not a social studies teacher and I'm not really into deep research, so you can go deeper if this really interests you, but I'll just give you a very brief overview. Throughout history, various religious texts and traditions have referred to the Akashic Records, but sometimes using language like the Book of Life, which I found very interesting. Also in Sanskrit, Akasha, the word Akasha literally means space, ether, or sky. And it's also known as the first element. So you know the element fire, water, earth, and air. Well, it's said that the Akasha is the first element in which all of those elements come from. I hope I'm demystifying the Akashic Records for you a little bit with just going through what the Akashic Records really mean. And I want you, when you read your Akashic Records or you receive an Akashic Records reading, to really think about how you see the Akashic Records and what you experience when you're in your Akashic Records, because it's unique to everyone. And I think it's really important to drive that home. And whatever you experience is absolutely perfect. The more that we can trust in our spiritual experiences, the deeper we can go and the more that we can experience. That's the secret. So why would we turn to the Akashic Records? Well, why wouldn't we? But in my opinion, well, when you're navigating fears, struggles, mindset blocks, or trying to manifest something in your life, you can turn to your Akashic Records for guidance. And your Akashic Records are going to take you to the root of it all. What is the why behind what is going on? I find the Akashic Records to be such a grounded and practical modality. Like if I am going through something and I need to just get to the root of it and I just don't understand where this is coming from, why this is happening, I go to my Akashic Records and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. And something else to just note within this is if you're going through a difficult experience and you are in your emotions and you are in your feelings, let yourself feel and be emotional and don't go into your Akashic Records right away. It's very important to feel our feelings. And then once you feel your feelings and you have processed whatever it is that you're experiencing, then you know that you can be the observer and go into your Akashic Records for some more guidance. So when you bring your questions, situations, or scenarios to your Akashic Records, they're going to be related to other things. And I'm going to go over a few things that they can be related to that you might see when you get your Akashic Records reading or if you read your Akashic Records for yourself. And this is not an extensive list because of course, the Akashic Records is literally anything, like anything can happen, anything can come up, but I'm just sharing some ideas to give some context. Maybe what you're bringing to your Akashic Records is related to a limiting belief that you're holding on to. Limiting beliefs are thoughts that you have accepted as true and they hold you back. Or maybe what you're experiencing is related to family conditioning or societal conditioning, thinking that you have to live in a certain way or be a certain way because of those around you. Maybe what you're bringing to the Akashic Records is related to soul contracts. So this is agreements that we've made with other souls before coming into this incarnation to grow and evolve. So maybe you're having a difficult time with a relationship in your life. You'll understand the deeper meaning behind it all. What are you meant to teach each other? And it really just helps you navigate relationships way easier, especially when they are difficult relationships. Maybe what you are bringing to the Akashic Records is related to ancestral patterns. So you may be thinking, well, is this just like family conditioning? It's deeper than that. So when we think ancestors, we typically think farther back than grandparents or great grandparents. It's just a deeper pattern that's ingrained within the bloodline. Their ancestors lived very different lives than we're living on Earth right now. It was really more about survival for them. So you may be taking on some of those patterns that are stored, and you may be the one healing your lineage. Maybe what you are experiencing and bringing to your Akashic Records is related to trauma in this life or trauma in another life. This could be emotional trauma or physical trauma. And it could just be unprocessed and your soul is now ready to bring it to the forefront. Maybe what you are bringing to the Akashic Records is related to an energetic block of some sort. When you feel stuck or stagnant and you just feel like, oh, I don't know why I just can't get past this, it's probably related to an energetic block. The root might stem from unprocessed emotions or a negative mindset, or constantly outsourcing your power. Reading your Akashic Records can really help you shift your perspective. And also, this is an energetic experience. Every single time I read the Akashic Records for myself, and I see it when I read for others as well, there's something energetic that shifts. Something changes within you where it clicks, where you're like, oh, that's who I really am. Your thoughts, your feelings, all that, that's not the truth of who you are. You're just experiencing those things. So when you could really kind of zoom out and see who you really are without those things, everything shifts. Everything begins to change. And my life in general has changed drastically with working within the Akashic Records, because I have really kind of raised my consciousness to realize I'm not what I'm experiencing in my life. If I'm going through something, that's not who I am. That's not the truth of who I am. I'm just experiencing that. And that really helps navigate difficult situations. And I am just much less of a, I guess you could say, type A person. I used to be a very type A person, want everything a certain way. And I now am much more kind of go with the flow. I'm able to adapt to changes. And that's just because I really do have this kind of broader perspective. And obviously, I'm a human and I am not perfect, but I just really want to drive home the power of the Akashic Records and how reading my Akashic Records has changed my life. And being able to do this for other people is the best thing since sliced bread, I swear. Like, there's nothing more that I could ever want in the world. Watching people truly see themselves, like see who they are, see the truth of who they are, and understand that they are not defined by what's going on around them, or not defined by their past, or not defined by what they may be experiencing. And they just really see who they are and realize that they have unlimited possibilities and potentials for themselves, and they just have to choose to take action and they can go. I mean, there's truly nothing more that I could ever want. It's the coolest thing in the entire world. The Akashic Records is so freaking empowering. That's the truth. Like, I have no other way to kind of put it, but it's so amazing because you just become unstoppable, truly. Like, you become unstoppable when you realize the truth of who you are. Now, you may be wondering, who gives you the information when you open your Akashic Records? It is typically a collection of guides consisting of your Akashic Record Keeper guides, councils, angels, master teachers, higher self, ancestors, spirit babies, star beings. I mean, you name it. It is a collection of guides supporting you on your journey. Now, sometimes these guides make themselves known where they're specifically saying, these are your ancestors from your mom's side, and this is what they have to say. But a lot of times it's just a collection of energy, is what I feel. And it's not that they're making themselves known specifically. Sometimes they do make themselves known. For example, mediumistic information can come through within an Akashic Records reading, and it has before. I have a very strong connection with my great grandmother, and she has made herself known and given me messages within the Akashic Record. Also, I have a very strong connection with my spirit babies, and they come through very strongly within the Akashic Records, and they make themselves known, so I know it is them giving me the information. I've had an experience where I literally opened the Akashic Records, and all of a sudden my spirit babies came in, and I just heard them, and they just gave me this full download of all of this information. And I didn't even go into the Akashic Records for that specifically, but they made themselves known and they gave me the information that was needed at the time. As you can see, there are no rules and regulations to the Akashic Records. Anything can come through, and that's a beautiful thing because you're going to receive whatever is of your best and highest good in your Akashic Records reading. And I remind my clients of this every single time I do a reading. I like to say, just really tune in to your heart space and really know and confirm to yourself that you know that whatever is meant to come through for you will come through for you, because that's exactly what will happen. And really holding that intention and putting out that intention makes it even more potent and makes it even more of a beautiful experience. Because the Akashic Records exist at such a high vibration, you want to raise your vibration to access the Akashic Records. So the way I prepare for a reading is sometimes I have a dance party. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I do this very often, and I put on some really great high vibrational music and I just get myself dancing, feeling good, and that is how I sometimes prepare. Another way I prepare is to do a meditation. I like just doing a short guided meditation that brings me back to myself, brings me back to my center, and really reminds me of the truth of who I am. This is very important for me as a reader, just really getting myself to a place where I remember who I truly am and remember that I have access to this information and I can do this. This is who I am. This is who I am. I don't have to change in any way in order to access the information. And sometimes I do a meditation and I have a dance party. It just kind of depends on how I'm feeling, and I just kind of tune into what feels the best. But let go of the rigidity when it comes to spirituality. That's what I like to say. I like to have fun. Have fun, feel into what feels good for you, and trust in what feels good for you. There is no set way that you're supposed to do these things. It's just really with holding your intention and remembering who you are. And of course, focusing on love, focusing on your heart, and focusing on knowing that whatever is of the best and highest good will come through for you. I touched on this a little bit, but I just want to talk about it one more time because this question does come up a lot. What is the difference between an Akashic Records reading and a mediumship reading or a psychic reading? So for a mediumship reading, you're going to the medium for evidence and proof of afterlife. And that is not the premise of an Akashic Records reading. The premise of an Akashic Records reading is to receive guidance, whatever you need at that moment in time, and actionable steps forward to implement into your life. So while mediumistic information can absolutely come through an Akashic Records reading, that is not the premise of the reading. When it comes to psychic information is coming through within the reading, but I am not trying to predict your future in any way. You're not coming to me to tell you this is what's going to happen, because you have free will. And the point is to open you up to all possibilities. And if maybe there is something that you're not aware of, or you're not really sure of, or you need some more validation on, that may come through. I'll give you an example of the psychic information that can come through. So maybe I am reading your Akashic Records and I have the download that you've always liked to paint and you've always wanted to be a painter, but you lived this life, you had 3 kids, things were really difficult in your life, and that just kind of fell to the wayside. And now you're at this point in your life where you have some extra time on your hands, but you kind of forgot all about that. Maybe your Akashic Records will bring to me this idea of being a painter to tell you and to just bring that to your awareness again and to plant that seed for you. And then, of course, you can take action the way you would like to take action. I'm going to leave it there for today because I think that was a nice overview of the Akashic Records. If I left something out, or if you have any questions about anything, feel free to message me on Instagram. I would love to do a Q&A on the Akashic Records because, again, I want to demystify the Akashic Records. So if you have anything, please DM me, and I could even do a question box of questions you may have about the Akashic Records on my Instagram, so I can do a full episode dedicated to that. If this really piqued your interest and you want more and you want to learn how to do this for yourself, and you don't only want a reading, but you really want to understand how to read your own Akashic Records and go really deep within your own Akashic Records journey, I do have a mentorship, The Records Within, where I teach you how to read your own Akashic Records. I'm not going to go into all the details. You can find that in the link below, but just wanted to bring that to the forefront if you are interested. I'm so excited that we went into kind of our first spiritual topic. There is much more to come, many more fun topics and discussions to be had. But other than that, I will see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Your Inner Power with Krista. If this episode resonated with you, please leave a rating and review. This helps my podcast grow and reach new listeners. You can connect with me on Instagram at Krista Nastu. And if you're feeling called to go deeper, links to work with me can be found below. Until next time, remember, everything you need is already within.